Hi, everybody. It's Paula Hulme with Funding American Mortgage. Today, I am joined by Devon Colbert, who is the owner-operator of Foresight Inspections. He's going to delight us with some great information regarding home inspections and the information you need to know to make sure you get a quality inspection and what to look out for. So meet Devon. Devon has been in the real estate world for over a decade. He is a personal investor and he wants to share with the world his knowledge by being an inspector on what he's learned through his investments that he has made. He's a Philly sport fan, born and raised in Philly. We are glad to be there. Go Birds. Devon, thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure to be invited.
So, what got you into home inspections? Tell us that fun
Uh,
story.
so basically, I bought my first property at 24. It was a duplex in Philadelphia. Began renting that out. Shortly after that, I bought another one. Through that process, I realized that I liked real estate overall, not so much the rental, but I love being in real estate and the benefits that it had for me, and like it accelerated my position in life. It gave me freedom of time with the rental and the disposable income. I decided to transition from my staffing career into a more real estate focused career. At that time, my father was purchasing a house and he had a home inspector who was filled with inspections more than he could handle. So he suggested I transition. My father's a wise man, and I love taking his advice. Sometimes he can be a little pushy, but he is very smart. So I transitioned into home inspection and haven't looked back since.
Wow, I love that. I think it's so great when, you involve your family in life decisions and things. And, it really does help when you have that real estate background too. You get an idea of what it's like to buy a house and listen to an inspector. But let me point out, being 24 to own your first home and make it a duplex, my mind is blown. Like, that's huge. I try to encourage as many people as possible when they're young to think about utilizing that resource to build wealth. It's really cool that you were able to do that. So let's go into home inspection basics, right? What are the most common issues you find during home inspections?
So, first off, I like to tell everyone every home there will be defects, and that is a good thing. Your house will age over time, normal wear and tear, weathering. It's not going to be in pristine condition, whether it's a new house or old house. The most common defects I find are just wear and tear, caulking's worn out over time, cracking in the sidewalks. Sometimes I come across electrical outlets where the connection may have become loose or it was miswired during its initial wiring, but majority of the time, just small, common wear and tear items, roofing aging, but nothing concerning.
Okay. So really, is there anything that can help them be prepared for home buying? Like, what should they kind of know, or what should they be prepared for when they own a home? Like, what type of regular maintenance?
So regular maintenance will just consist of changing your HVAC filter, monitoring your house. For me, that's the biggest advice that I could give to any new homeowner. Just being conscientious of the status of your house when you first buy it and the wear and tear that's happening. Things can happen over the course of 6 months to a year that you won't be aware of until you see the result of the accumulation of wear and tear. You may get a roof leak, but by the time you see your roof leak, it's been leaking for months. When you have structural issues with your house, it's not like it happens over 6 months, it's years and years. So if you can be aware of the condition your house is when you first purchase it and just every month walk around your property, do casual maintenance monitoring and change your filters. If you have loose fixtures, tighten the loose fixtures so that it doesn't exacerbate the defect and make it a larger issue when you can nip it in the bud at the beginning stages.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So let's pretend I'm a first-time home buyer and I'm buying my first house. I hire you to do the inspection. if I'm a first time home buyer, what can they expect? What can they be prepared for? Walk us through your process and how you do your home inspections and some of the things you'll point out to borrowers and buyers.
So first thing is a home inspection is a non-invasive visual inspection, meaning I will go on your roof, go in your crawl space, open your electric panel, open your HVAC system, get the ages of all your fixtures, test every outlet, open every window, run your water, check your sewer line on the outside as you need a sewer scope and a sewer scope camera to check the inside of your main sewer line. I will get inside anything that I am able to open without damaging the property. You're getting a fairly thorough inspection of the property. Anything behind walls, enclosed spaces, painted over, or inaccessible at the time of the inspection won't be included. With prior notice to the homeowner or the seller, a lot of the house should be made available. And even without prior notice, a lot of the house should be able to be inspected, even if there are items remaining in the home.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Do newer homes require an inspection just as much as older homes? Like, because I imagine if they're freshly built, what could go wrong with a freshly built home, right? Those contractors clearly know what they're doing and aren't going to take shortcuts.
So what I would say is it's great to assume that everybody's going to do their best job and put their best foot forward when they're doing any type of work and putting their name on any product. But you as a home buyer, the inspection process is to hire a third party to work on your behalf and to comb through the property and make sure that what they say is actually done to the standards that they say. Any house that is being purchased, I definitely advise a home inspection. Even newer properties, I'm more of a stickler for the smaller items. Since you're
Mhm.
buying a brand new property that's just being finished, caulking should be pristine. Windows should operate fairly easily. There should be no hitch or hiccups when it comes to operating windows or fixtures. Nothing should
Mhm.
be loose. Everything should be done to code. Though with home inspections, we do not inspect to code. We expect to, let's say, whether it's functionality.
Gotcha.
Making sure
You're
that
looking,
every functional at the time of the inspection.
right. So you're going to be, okay, this is working, this isn't working, as opposed to, oh no, you're going to get fined and things like that. Got it.
Yes. What is going to be able to have somebody move into the house and operate everything in the house to its ideal standard or the way it was intended to be used?
What has been your craziest thing that you saw when someone's trying to buy a house? New house, old house, what has been like, wow, I can't believe the house is still standing type moment. Like, why?
So a common extreme thing that is, I would say is most common would be either a large tree by the base of a house. Those roots, especially if it's a large tree, can become intrusive and work its way into the foundation. It could cause bulging into the basement. It's not the end of the world, but it is something that needs to be addressed as soon as possible to prevent more deterioration of that foundation. So having trees around. And then the biggest thing that I would say I've come across would be an inspection on my own property. There was a hole in the roof that went from third story to the first floor and it was leaking for years. So there was mold throughout the property.
Oh
And with
gosh.
that being said, it was fixed. Anything that you come across on home inspection can be fixed. It just matters about what type of professional you're going to hire, whether it can be a general contractor, whether it could be a standard handyman, or it needs to be an actual licensed and bonded company, and the cost of it and what it's going to add to your budget. I love to tell people that anything during a home inspection that I may come across can be fixed.
So this happened to one of my clients not too long ago. They got the home inspection, decided not to buy the property, and they were like, the house is gonna fall apart. It needs to be completely torn down. Have you ever seen something like that? What are the chances that's really the case? Or do you think they were mishearing what the inspector was pointing out?
So with the inspection, it all depends on how the inspector portrays the information that they're giving, especially since we're the authority when we're giving you the inspection. How someone uses their verbiage can either scare somebody away from a property or reassure them that the product they're buying is something that can be either lived in immediately or fixed.
Mhm.
So If it's a property is going to be falling down, it's most likely going to be condemned and addressed by the city. It's going to be flagged. People are going to have their eyes on it. It's more of a liability, not to the seller, but also to the county that it's based in if a house is going to fall over and anybody out on the street. So when you come across a property, it may have damage to the foundation. The likelihood that it's going to fall over in the next 3 months, 6 months, year, I would say is unlikely. But if you have major concerns about the foundation, you would get a second opinion from a structural engineer. And they would be able to tell you the load bearing capacities, if there's anything that is damaged that is going to cause the structure to fall. A home inspector, our job's not to tell you the structure to fall. We see that there is a structural defect and push you to get a second opinion from that structural engineer. But everything that I've come across can always be fixed.
Wow, that's amazing. That's actually really reassuring. And I think a lot of new home buyers, especially if they're first time doing it, maybe they don't have a support system, they can get scared, right? I remember when we bought our first house, what I liked about our inspectors, he mentioned caulking and painting. And we made a joke out of it. Everything was caulk and paint, caulk and paint, caulk and paint. I find that to be more helpful than the, oh my gosh, this outlet's loose or the screw's a little loose on the plate. So it's good to hear from an inspector, from a professional, that your job's not there to scare them. You're not going to scare them unnecessarily. That is great. Speaking of that and finding the right inspector, what should they look for? When they call you up, what kind of questions should they ask to really find out what kind of service they're going to get?
So first question you got to make sure is that your inspector is going to go on your roof. It is not required by most certifying agencies for your inspection inspector. I was taught to walk the roofs, and I recommend that all inspectors should walk the roof because even if you're using the drone, how are you able to tell if there's sheathing damage? Get up close to see if there's cracking or wear and tear and the tar seal around the edges of flat roofs. So see if your inspector is going to actually walk your roof, as your roof is, to get it fixed, is sometimes one of the more expensive items that you have on your list. You definitely want somebody who's willing to get up to that height, because it takes a certain person to climb a 20-foot ladder and get on your second story roof. Second, you want to make sure that they're going to be willing to climb in all crawl spaces, open all your windows, test your outlets. By standards, we're not necessarily required to test every single outlet in the house, open every window. It's a representative number of outlets and windows, but it takes an additional 2-3 minutes to actually test every outlet and visually inspect it and make sure that it's working, to
Mhm.
visually inspect every window and make sure that they're working. So you just want to make sure that your inspector's being thorough, going through every part of the house, addressing all your major systems from your electrical panel, HVAC system, plumbing. Lastly, you want to make sure they're educating you. You don't want to just be following your inspector around the house. They should be there to teach you, to reassure you, to make sure that you feel comfortable about the product you're purchasing. If they spot anything, they're supposed to tell you, but again, let you know that it can be fixed. Our
Right.
job is not to scare you and just to present you the information. It's to educate you, empower you, and give you the confidence moving forward in your investment.
Oh, that was lovely. Excellent. How long should an inspection typically take? How long do you usually take when you go out? I know it depends on the size, but on average.
So yeah, it depends on the square footage and any ancillary inspection items that you add, such as radon inspections, sewer scopes, air or water quality testing. But a typical home inspection should take between 2 to 3 hours. If it's a larger house, 4 hours, but 2 to 3 hours is what you should expect. More importantly, if your inspector is a little bit slower, as long as they're giving you a thorough inspection, making you feel comfortable and teaching you while you're walking through the inspection, for me, that's the most important thing.
Well, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're really busy. So, again, thank you so much for being on here with me today. Any final words, any thoughts that you want to share with our audience?
It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to educate you. I want you to feel confident in the home buying process. I know it's an anxious and scary time. I've been there before. Even if it's your first, second, third house, you'll always be anxious buying it. So do not let that deter you. look at the facts, take a deep breath, and have an open mind when you go into the home inspection process because things will be found. Just take a step back and enjoy it. You're nearing the end when you're at the home inspection. So don't let a few words deter you. Use sound judgment when going over it.
That is excellent advice. Now, if someone were to call you to schedule an appointment, how can they reach you?
You could go to foresightInspection.com and schedule online, or give me a call on my cell phone at 717-512-8781.
Fantastic. Devon Colbert, it's been lovely. Thank you so much. And Foresight Inspections, by the way, I love the name because you got to be that foresight to make the right decision. I love it. It's very fitting. And thank you.
All right, have a great day.